Hey, I'm Jeff, and I make music with my brother.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I also make music with my brother.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack, and we make music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
Hey guys, our new remix of D.O.D. and Carla Monroe's tune, Still Sleepless, is out now on all platforms. It'd be really great if you could go and listen to it, share it with your friends, and hit us up and tell us what you think of it. We really had a lot of fun creating it, and you can check it out
Everywhere.
and you can even see how we made it on our recent Instagram post.
Yeah, go check it out. And send us photos and videos of you dancing to it. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free for you, but helps us so much. We're going to be uploading much more video content here.
Yeah.
Podcasts, silly videos.
Maybe some walkthroughs of tunes.
Tunes, tutorials. It's all in the pipeline, and we want to share it with you. Thanks, guys.
Jonathan,
Welcome back. Look how close we are, Jeff.
we're very close. We're filming with one camera today
Bit of a sea change.
because my camera is full of memories and photos and all sorts of things from our adventure in
Denmark.
We recently did a podcast with Last Week Liquid,
Yes.
and that's coming out next week. And something you pointed out to me is that I say and I say things a lot.
Yes.
So this week, I'm going to try and not say and things a lot, which means being more specific with my communication and articulating myself well.
Yeah, because is a space filler. I think it comes from not being able to.
You say I think too much.
I do. That's exactly. So I messaged Jeff after we recorded the last Liquid podcast, and I said, I've just listened to it. I think it's really good. Happy with what we say, but I say, I think too much.
I think I say I think too much.
And Jeff says and things too much. But so is a space filler.
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes from, I believe it comes from thinking that someone won't keep listening or will interrupt you when you leave too much of a gap.
Potentially.
So you say because that is the verbalization of I'm still thinking and I'm not finished yet.
Yeah, potentially, especially in this butt-in society.
Yes.
But you hear people who speak without ums and other vocal tics, and their points are just more
concise.
And that's very difficult to do because most people don't have any record of them speaking.
Yeah.
So they don't have any feedback about it. But
We're trying.
we are trying. I think we're doing a damn fine job.
Because it's really noticeable when you listen back to a podcast that you're a guest on, because we don't always listen back to these episodes. But yeah, it was noticeable listening back to that. Either way, it's a fantastic podcast. So if you haven't listened to it, Last Week Liquid.
Yeah, and I think we'll it comes out next week.
Yeah.
So we'll be sharing it around on our socials and things like that.
Yes? We're going to do it. I mean,
Absolutely, but it's funny to catch myself. I had a strange thought today, Jonathan, and I want you to weigh in on the situation. Do you think you can tell when another person needs to shit?
I've thought this before.
Do you think you could be in a place, i.e. a cafe or a supermarket, and you could look at someone and be like, that person is on the brink. That person's buying toilet paper because they need toilet paper.
I don't think I could recognize it in a supermarket, but after a long time of working in cafes and being around people in the food industry, I think I can recognize it pretty well in a cafe.
Amongst your colleagues or amongst people eating?
Amongst people eating and colleagues. There's always a shift and a look around, I find. When someone needs to shit, that doesn't happen with we, because what they do is they feel the urge, and then they're like, the look around is, do I think this facility is going to be top notch? Are there people around me that I don't want to know that I'm going for a shit, which is a ridiculous idea, but that's what some people think. And can I just go home to do a shit after I finish? Like, what's the time limit I have?
Yeah, what's my proximity both in time and space
Yes.
to my next toilet destination?
Yes.
Yeah, I've definitely thought of that.
Do you think you can notice it in people just walking around?
No, I think it's very difficult. But I think if you lined somebody up, if you lined people up and you looked at them.
What would you say a characteristic is of someone that needs to poo within the next 3 minutes?
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting because I'd say the need kind of starts maybe 10 minutes before.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's no warning.
And sometimes it's right there. I would say just a general unease in being. Maybe you're standing a little bit strangely. You see it in kids.
Shift weight.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's just purely our social nicety that trains it out of us as adults. But as kids, the classic thing of seeing a kid holding his doodle because he needs to go to the toilet, or being like,
yeah,
like a baby going
and just
shitting.
Yeah.
Like what a goddamn freedom. So we've got all that training, and you're sitting in a meeting and you're like, we're breaking in 15, all right. Yeah. And it's also, you've got to get distracted by it. Try and make a decision when you really need to go to the toilet, when you need to go do a wee. And it's very, very difficult. Everything in your body is being like, just go to the toilet and we can start thinking about other stuff. Me and my friend Byron used to have...
Hey, Byron.
Shout out to Byron. In high school, we'd say there's 3.5 levels to go into the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, level 1 is like, I could go to the toilet. Level 2 is, I need to get to a toilet. Level 3 is, if I don't get to a toilet in the next minute, I'm probably going to piss. And level 3.5 is the place you get to just before you piss. As you're unlocking the door and being like, I need to put the shopping down before, or that extra 5 minutes. You don't know how long that half is.
Yeah.
But it's that superhuman strength that you can get there.
Yeah.
But you never want to rely on that. I've heard a story about someone being in the desert and really needed to go to the toilet. And you'd think it would be easy just to go, but there was extenuating circumstances based on where they were about exposure and stuff, and they drove for a long time and held in their wee for a long time. And it makes me both anxious and thirsty, but I think any story about
thirsty
the desert...
for piss.
Thirsty for piss.
Don't worry about...
I'll get the shirts made this week. You'll be able to buy them at ekkonsidetrack.com.
Don't worry.
Are you thirsty for piss?
Don't worry about driving away. Just piss into my mouth.
No, but I mean any story from the desert.
It just makes you want water.
Yeah. God damn it. I don't have mine within reach.
We shouldn't share. I remember holding in... The longest time I think I've held in my piss for was at a sports carnival. And it was like a swimming carnival, at school. And they started the final races. I think there's 4 races, and then there's the awards ceremony. And it's probably 45 minutes. But for some reason, they stopped letting kids go to the bathroom. It's maybe it was the beginning of the awards ceremony. So they're like, oh no, you can't go to the bathroom anymore.
Some arbitrary rule.
Yeah. And then that's exactly when I started having the need to go to the toilet.
Level 1?
Level 1. So I was like, okay, I can hold it. And then for some reason I couldn't go to the toilet between leaving and leaving back on the bus. And
there's no time to go to the toilet. Everyone back on the bus.
Because
Jonathan, you're not going over there. Yeah, you're on the bus. And
there's 500 kids or 300 kids trying to get out of this space, and everyone's lined up and formally leaving. And I remember leaving and knowing that I had a 30-minute drive home, back to school rather, and being like, fuck this, pain, feels like I'm going to burst, my bladder's going to burst.
And you've just been drinking water and
a Gatorade.
Gatorades for all that swimming you weren't doing.
Yeah, I think I was part of the cheer squad. I'm a good swimmer, but I wasn't back then. Yeah.
Then
Holding in piss.
You go back to school and you're like, oh.
And if you hold in your piss, you can actually cause yourself an infection.
Absolutely. I've recently, very recently, this year, I've nearly pissed myself, which is insane.
Mm. Have you ever shit yourself lately?
No. Last 5 years, but not the last 3 years.
I think I shat myself in London.
It depends the circumstances. It's really gross when you're sick.
Yeah,
And
that's
you're kinda like-
that's when it happens with me. Like,
And you're like, oh shit.
yeah,
But I've definitely gone for a bit of a fart and just been like surprised.
I had food poisoning. I cooked chicken, and I just didn't cook it long enough, and
That beautiful rare chicken.
I kind of felt like I swear the body knows that you've done it.
It does.
Like instinctually, as I was eating it, I was like, I think this is going to turn against me. And I woke up at 2:00 in the morning,
Oof.
and it was just like terrible cramps. And then running to the toilet and shitting, and then having a shower, and then just ended up shitting in the shower.
Whoa, it's all pipes, baby.
Well, yeah, because it was just like I just sat in the shower for 40 minutes after a few trips and just being
Sitting
like,
in your own.
fuck it.
You're not sitting in your own shit.
I'm not sitting in my own shit, but I'm definitely, it was just liquid. It was just water at an eventual point. Jeff, I wanted to discuss recently.
Yeah, let's
Get out of the gutter. Let's get out of the shit heap and get into something that happened to you recently. Perth is somewhat opening up more to COVID, which is an interesting dynamic to experience.
Perth, for those listening at home, is finally experiencing actual community transmission of the COVID-19. And I think today we had 1,000 cases.
Yeah.
Which to some person listening from London is like, what? Just now?
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
But it's the first time it's happened to us.
I have a Discman.
And Jeff went to a nightclub on Saturday that was...
Did record some cases.
Yeah, did record some cases. So Jeff and Holly have had a little COVID scare this
and we
week.
did due diligence of a few rat tests and PCR tests and
everything came back negative.
Yeah.
But how did you feel having that experience? Because this is new. This is like, Perth people have had 2 years of being scared of it and being told all this
It
information.
was a big bad wolf hiding on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, and now it's here, and then you went out and you kind of had that experience of going somewhere that possibly was a exposure site, and then you knew people that had it, and then you had to get tested, and then you're like, do I have it? Should I not do things?
So there's two kind of parts to the story, and then I want to talk about nightclubs because they're exciting places to be, and I almost have forgotten that.
You started the sentence with that one.
Yeah.
Declaration of
Okay, where do I start? We went to the nightclub on Saturday. It was great. We left at about 12 because we wanted to go home to bed.
Yep.
And then the next day, we both felt a little bit like rough, but like just hungover.
Yeah.
Then I noticed on Monday that my finger was getting sore.
Yeah.
And it was quite red.
You sent me a photo and it looked pretty...
It was like full of pus and stuff like that. It was infected.
Yeah.
And it got more infected on Tuesday. I believed that the way I was feeling was directly related to infection.
Yeah.
My immune system fighting that.
Yeah.
Then we found out that one of the people that had been at the club had tested positive.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh gosh, maybe it's to do with that.
Yeah.
So we both did a test.
So it's okay. So you've got a hangover. You not only have a hangover, but you've got an infection in your hand, which is draining you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you both go,
do it. Yeah.
Could this be COVID?
Yeah. And we go and do rat tests. And then I'm feeling, better but not as good. Better. Holly feels fine. Hi, Holly.
Hey, Holly.
But then we're going through this wave of stress because you're wondering, am I, aren't I, a little bit?
And your rat test came back negative.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I also had an interaction with a friend who was like, I'm isolating because I was at that club.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. I can't work from home. So I've done the tests.
Yeah.
And then that's my due diligence. And then I also heard a really close contact of the person that had tested positive didn't have it either. I mean, doesn't mean that I don't have it, but I believe I don't. So that was further evidence.
Yeah. And then Holly got a PCR test.
Yep. So to sum up, I think the whole thing is a little bit. It's maximizing the uncertainty of how you feel in general.
Yeah.
And you're uncertain about the world in general at the moment. But now it's like, did I touch that person's things, and do I have thing, and like, is this feeling in my throat anxiety because of the world we're currently living in, or is it a COVID thing? It's like, do I actually have a headache, or do I just need to drink some water?
Yeah.
Am I a little bit tired? And I'd say, like, we're both a bit stressed at the moment, which is a contributing factor.
Yeah.
Holly particularly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on for her.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that is contributing just to not feeling 100%.
Yes.
So you don't have a 100% to aim for. And then someone tells you, oh, you might have COVID. Then you do a bunch of tests, and then you're like, I don't know. So I think if you're not 100% and then this thing is out there, then you lose 10 points automatically.
Yeah.
Just because you're like, I'm unsure. Add in stress, you're just not feeling great.
Yeah.
So all of that leads me to be here now, sitting with you, maskless, not feeling fantastic, but having got confirmation now from a pharmacist that the antibiotics I am on are going to make me feel lethargic, make me feel queasy when I eat them because you have them on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to feel a little bit run down in general because my body is fighting an infection.
Yes.
So that's made me feel better about the whole thing.
I think do you remember when we went down south to play the show with Carl?
Yes.
And we were down there, and then we do the show.
No, we were down there. We were at sound check.
Oh, we were at sound check,
and then Mark McGowan announced that Perth was going to get its first lockdown.
Yes.
Based on the fact there might be a COVID case. And you had just got out of hotel quarantine at the hotel where the case was meant to be from.
And I didn't get a message. I didn't get anything. We play the show. We check that we're fine legally. And then on the Saturday, I think it doesn't come out that the guy was in the same hotel quarantine that I was in until the Saturday. Or maybe even the Sunday. I think it was maybe it was the Saturday night or Saturday afternoon. Anyway, I woke up on Sunday feeling like this guy was in the same hotel quarantine as I was. He was on the 14th floor. I think I was on the 9th floor. And we got out on the same day. And then I start going, fuck, I've got COVID. Again, because I've been drinking. Drinking 2 days. I'm fucking hungover. I'm tired, not sleeping great. I don't feel great. I've just been at a festival with 1,000 people. I've been kissing people. I start thinking I've given COVID to the southwest region. Holy fuck. And I start getting really anxious, and I start talking to you guys about it, and I'm like, should I go home? And do you remember arriving back home, and I was like, I'm going to get tested. I've got to get tested. And then you were like, I think
don't feed the fear.
Yeah, you said don't feed the fear. Something like that. And I think I got angry at you, and I was like...
And we actually went to the testing place.
Yeah.
And she goes, do you have any symptoms?
Yeah.
I said, no, I don't. And you said, no, I don't. She goes, well, you don't need a test. And then you're like, well, maybe I kind of do it. And I said, I'm okay not to get tested.
But then I went to get tested, and I was negative. But it made me feel better. But that's almost like you've kind of experienced how I was feeling in that time of like, holy fuck, I might have just killed someone inadvertently.
I don't think I ever thought that about, but yeah.
But again, when I rocked up to the testing center and said, "This is my scenario," I got out of the hotel the same day the guy did, and she was like, "If you didn't get a message, it's all good." And I remember thinking like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like I know that legally, I don't have to do anything, but for my own conscience, I can't pronounce some words. I'm learning. For my own conscience, I want to get tested. And I remember thinking, like, feels like there's something wrong with the system of
That's how the system
due
works.
diligence. Or
They've
whatever.
They've now stopped doing so much contact tracing because they're just not going to be able to keep up.
Well, in the UK,
So-
if you had symptoms, it was don't get tested, don't do anything, stay at home. It was always stay at home until a point when you feel like you can't manage the symptoms anymore, and then go to hospital. Because I think their thinking was, if everyone suddenly loses their taste and smell and they go, I need to go to hospital, but then their severity of COVID is quite low, then they're taking up space and taking up time and taking up
resources
for people that are actually sick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's interesting. Tell me about nightclubs. So this is the first time you've been in a nightclub.
It's not the first time I've been in a nightclub since. It's been a while, and it's been a while since I've been in a nightclub with a super energetic vibe. And
Do you want to say where you went?
yeah, we went to Barbès on a night for Wildflower, which is like garage house techno.
Yep.
And it felt really good to be there. And I felt like, oh yeah, this is what I was missing. This is the energy of a nightclub where people are dancing, where people are mingling. The music has good energy, and like the whole club had a good energy. And it felt like there was a scene building there. And also it felt like there was like a good amount of electricity. You know how like in a good room, like it's like group consciousness, like everyone's into this.
The energy's there. Everyone's like a hive mind for a little bit.
Yeah, and also not just about around the music, but around the scene. Like it was popping off. Probably part of the reason I felt like I contracted the virus there. But it just made me go, oh, yeah, nightclubs are going to come back, and that's where we're going to spend more time, and I'd kind of forgotten about that.
The party, man.
The party.
It's
and
the party and the freedom and the dancing and the losing yourself in the moment and talking to people and meeting people and all those interactions that are quite a big part of our life, or have been for such a long time, and haven't been. I think you realise, you probably felt how I felt after I played that show in Cologne.
Yeah, I'd say you'd feel it more because you were like completely locked down. But I think I underestimated how much I'd missed it.
Yeah.
And like standing there in the energy of the club, I remember saying to Holly, just being like, yeah, I'm excited to get back to this. I'm excited to do some shows. I'm excited to get down to the nitty gritty of like playing a set and things like that. And it energized me. And then I got a bit too energized and got a bit fucking paranoid because there was about 1 million people there, and I was like, I feel I'm being energized in more of a COVID kind of way at the moment.
Fueled by COVID fear. I think
it felt electric. And you know when you go to a place and there's like a scene and you know people know each other and things are happening, you're like, whoa, this feels good. There is a thing growing there. And
it's not just a nightclub, like a straight, I guess just like, I would say Bar 120, but that's not much reference. Just like a straight nightclub.
Generic nightclub. It's a bar where people dance, which is its own thing, but it's less of a scene.
There's like a house and garage scene that DJs and people know each other, and a promoter, like the drum and bass scene in Perth.
Yes. And
it's got like a following and a community-based thing, and you felt like you dipped into a community.
Yeah, and I also felt like the wider audience was coming into it as well.
Yeah.
It felt like something pretty exciting rather than just being like, oh yeah, these are all just the people that come normally.
Yeah.
It's like there was a solid word of mouth coming like, oh, have you been to that place? Have you been to Wildflower? Like, it's a really good night. I think it's a monthly at Barbès. But it feels good.
I've thought a similar thing when I've seen it on
and they're doing
Instagram.
good things and they're being good at it.
I've seen Dave Excessive play there, and seen McShane play there, and Sienna play there, and just videos of like people in the booth. The booth's kind of in the middle of the dance floor.
Yeah, it's sick, man.
People like around the DJ,
It's great.
and
it's energetic.
it's a vibe.
It feels
Big
like
vibe.
And I told Jordan this. I think he's part of the core team that run it. I was like, you're creating something really special here, and it reminds me of when things happened when we were younger. Big Ape, the Switch, even the old Inhibit nights and stuff. Like these were, the Nine, Heat, these places.
It felt like the beginning of something.
Yeah, very much so. And that's really exciting, and that's electric. And I missed that feeling, and I'm excited to have it potentially coming back soon. And also, so the idea that we'll be back in that playing shows soon.
Does that mean that you're
starting a garage alias? Absolutely.
Go-
Follow me on Instagram. I am Garage Jeff.
Does that mean you're going to go to that club night next month?
Yeah, maybe. Depending on where the virus is at. I don't know.
I'd love to come with you.
You were invited, buddy.
I was so hungover.
I know you were super hungover. What did you do? You went to a Bucks party.
Yeah, I went to a Bucks party on Friday night. Standard fun Bucks. Had some drinks with some people I hadn't seen in a while. And then met and hung out with a couple and a couple of guys that I hadn't seen in a while again. And then ended up going out for dinner with the couple and having great conversation and just drinking too many fucking margaritas. Margaritas are my
kryptonite?
Forbidden fruit.
Margaritas is so good. A good margarita is just like, and you kind of know that it's going to be good. Like you could be somewhere and you're like, just 2 margaritas, thanks.
In a good bar.
In a good bar, true. Yeah, getting a shit margarita is a letdown. But warm weather, get me a margarita, salted rim, Tommy's margarita, so it's like it's not frozen or anything.
I don't care so much about the salted rim. Maybe a little bit, but I don't want lots. But I just drink them too fast and too sugary. And I fucking smoked some cigarettes. I had it all. And I drank soju, a bottle of soju pretty quickly. And I woke up on Saturday with like a pounding headache and just like sugar. I felt the sugar rush in my body because I'm not eating heaps of sugar apart from quite a bit of fruit.
Yeah.
And like there's the occasional thing, but I'm eating the least amount of sugar I've probably ever eaten. And that was just like a spike of fucking
you feel that
pain.
Yeah.
And I just lay in bed and it was rough. When Yessa messaged me and said like, oh, do you want to come and watch me DJ? Like, are you going to come? And I was like, man, I'm sorry.
There is no further place than where someone else is going when you're in bed hungover.
No.
Hey, man, do you want to come out to the thing? You're like,
no. I struggled to get water, man. Like, it took me like an hour and a half to get up and go get water.
Ooh,
I know that's what I needed, but it's just like...
It's making me thirsty.
Your body's like, just stay there. Just stay safe.
Stay safe in the nest.
It was tough.
I can imagine that would have been.
It was really tough.
We're not at liberty to talk about any things we've got coming up, really, are we? But you can stay tuned, and we do have things coming up. Trust me. This is an advertisement for a future advertisement.
We've got quite a bit of music coming.
And shows coming.
Yeah, music and shows. Obviously, our Still Sleepless remix came out last Friday, and it's getting lots of positive feedback. I'm really glad people are digging it.
Yeah.
And we'll have new music out next month.
Yes.
And perhaps the month after too.
And perhaps the month after that, then the month after that. There I go again. Anything else that's grappling your sand snake this week?
Grappling my sand snake.
Oh, fuck. Can I just say something? I've got 2 recommendations of shows to watch.
Yes.
Dope Sick.
I have not watched it, and we need to.
Yeah, check Dope Sick out. It's the story of the... It's basically the story about OxyContin and its creation and proliferation in America. And it's really, really good, heavy at times.
Yeah.
And also, on the other side of that, Pam and Tommy. Me and Holly are really enjoying that. It's quite weird and a bit like there's definitely some strangeness, but it's like for purely entertainment value, it's pretty fun.
If you like Pam and Tommy, the actor that plays Tommy, Sebastian
Maniscalco? No.
something, is he plays the character the Winter Soldier in some of the Marvel films.
We've talked about this. I'm not a Marvel person.
You don't have to be.
I think you do.
Just watch them. I don't even think they're that great, but they're like satisfying. It's just I think those Marvel films for me is the same fuel that someone that watches Married at First Sight or Love Island. That's my version of it.
It's like your turn off purely entertainment.
Just
wash away.
Yeah. Just let it soak over me. Soak me in wet Marvel juice and jisms. Yeah.
I interrupted you when I asked you what was grappling.
Grappling my sand snake?
Mm.
I can't really remember. I don't think I've got anything to grapple. Oh, I was going to say, I went to the psych. I think we both went to the psych this week.
Yes.
We haven't really talked about our mental health recently.
Sure.
What secrets did you unbury from your subconscious?
Fuck, that reminds me I've got to fill out this form for her.
No, it was really nice. I haven't spoken to mine since November.
Wow.
And it was cool. We talked about family dynamics and communication and kind of reviewed some of the issues that I was having in November and some of the goals that I had and wanted to do. And it turned out that we'd worked on them. I had worked on them and it's progressing, and it kind of cemented into my head the importance of talking about mental health goals and talking about mental health in general and just reflection. It made me think about reflection. So last night I went to my writing folder on my computer and I looked, because I got a folder of writing that is script ideas, joke ideas, how I felt after an argument with you, diary entries. And I found a diary entry, 3 entries from March 2020, which is, the first one's day after lockdown. Second one is 2 weeks after lockdown, I have to move out of Tash and Tony's. And then the third one is first day in the house in Broccoli by myself. And it was really interesting the way I'm writing and kind of what I'm talking about, and to think, to read those and then to have a psych appointment and talk about things that I wanted to work on. And I go, well, like a lot has changed in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot better about things, and some of the things that were bothering me then aren't as big anymore.
That's great.
So it was a real affirming appointment.
That's the magic of reflection. I think that's the whole reason you should write some journal stuff. So you can go, this is how I feel now. That's how I felt then. I'm feeling better, or I'm feeling worse, or how did I deal with this?
Or if you read the same thing.
Yeah. Or if you write the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I need
I'm not dealing with that goal, or like I keep pushing that aside. Yeah, absolutely.
That's also part of the magic of like the morning pages concept of just the 3-page brain dump in the morning. I haven't done that in ages, but it's something I'd like to find the to make the time to do, particularly on my studio days, because it is important, that reflective excuse me, that reflective
Time?
practice
Yeah.
is all we have. That if we keep a record, otherwise we rely on our memories, and it's
Yeah.
bad. Like, oh yeah, I felt pretty good that time, or I was feeling bad. You know, it's like recording your gym gains. You can be like, this is exactly what I was doing. I need to get back to it.
And your memory, depending on how you feel, is completely biased and completely wrong. You might be having a bad day and remember that last week you had a shit day in the studio.
Yep.
But you might be having a good day and then remember that last week you had a great day in the studio. Memory is so flawed.
It sure is. It really is.
Yeah. Well, let's get on with some music.
I think we should.
Jeff, it's been enjoyable to be so close to you and have this conversation. I'll speak to you in about 2 minutes.
We'll see you next week. Thanks very much for listening.
See you later, everybody.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We are Ekko Sidetrack on all social media. We've recently updated our YouTube. Go and give that a subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the latest video podcasts. And follow us on Spotify too so you can keep up to date with all our latest music releases. Big up.